Hi everyone! Welcome to Constructing Minds. This podcast is hosted by your peer, April Q. Here, we talk about all things constructivism, specifically in the online setting. In today's episode of Constructing Minds, I've chosen to talk about collaborative learning as an educational application of constructivism, more specifically, social constructivism. So let's get started. First of all, what is constructivism? Constructivism is a learning theory based on the idea that people actively construct their own knowledge. This is different from the idea of a student absorbing knowledge passively from a teacher. Another form of constructivism is social constructivism, and this theory was developed by Lev Vygotsky. According to Vygotsky, learning is a collaborative process, and knowledge develops from individuals' interactions with their culture and society. I wanted to highlight this, social constructivism, as a segue into today's topic of collaborative learning. So what is collaborative learning? Collaborative learning is the educational approach of using groups of learners to enhance learning by working together to solve problems, complete tasks, or learn new concepts, essentially working together towards a common goal. I just also want to point out that this is different from coordination. So coordination or cooperation is more like doing different pieces that are later assembled into a whole. And this is fine, of course, if coordination or cooperation is what is trying to be achieved. However, collaboration is more involved in joint work on tasks, creation of shared definitions, and pooling and sharing of knowledge. Some key principles or features of collaborative learning are, as mentioned before, students are working together to achieve a common goal. Students are responsible for each other's learning as well as their own. There's shared knowledge construction, so through discourse and collaboration, knowledge is being constructed together. Teachers are also acting more as a facilitator rather than the ultimate authority on knowledge. And finally, individual strengths are embraced, so unique experiences, perspectives, or abilities are encouraged and celebrated. So relating collaborative learning back to constructivism real quick here, the aim of collaborative learning is to promote active learning and co-construction of knowledge through interaction with group members. And this follows the social constructivism theory of building knowledge through the interaction of others. One of the main reasons I've chosen collaborative learning is perhaps because I personally prefer learning with other people. I enjoy diving deeply into a topic with others, and that social interaction makes me feel energized. Essentially, I learn better when I feel connected with others because it makes me feel more engaged and motivated to learn. I haven't had a lot of teaching experience. However, when I used to facilitate wellness workshops for queer Asian youth pre-pandemic, I remember it being so much fun to be able to hear everyone's lived experiences and contributions to the group. And facilitating was definitely something that required being really flexible, and there was a lot of zhuzhing to the constant changing conversation and dynamics. Facilitating was more like an art, and it was very complex, and I feel like this complexity is quite underrated, and it really makes me think more about the role that a teacher plays in a classroom or online and how this can really impact the learning that happens. Stories from different files and cases and different solutions that they've come up with that might not necessarily be formally recorded in a training document. It was so valuable to hear from coworkers' own experiences and the knowledge they've accumulated over the years that they've been working there. So in the context of being in the work setting or workplace, I believe that collaborative learning has really helped me be more comfortable communicating with others, being less intimidated speaking up in a group setting. So it's really helped me develop my communication skills and, more importantly, just being more receptive to different ideas and opinions. So what are some of the strengths and weaknesses of collaborative learning? Some strengths of collaborative learning are that it creates a social support system, improves students' understanding of diverse viewpoints, builds cross-cultural awareness, and strengthens cooperation. It also enhances communication skills, problem-solving skills, and fosters higher-level cognitive thinking. Collaboration also models how to work with others in real-world situations. These collaborative activities help train learners for the 21st century workplace, like how to share ideas, express opinions, and manage time. Some weaknesses of collaborative learning are social loafing, which can occur when one group member doesn't contribute as much and the other group members have to pick up the slack, which I think we're all pretty familiar with. Some members may not get along with others or have more dominating personalities. Some group members may fear being judged or aren't really comfortable expressing their ideas in a group setting, and some members also absorb information at different paces and speeds. The complexity of a task also matters. If the task is not complex enough, there's little to gain from group collaboration. So tying this together, how has collaborative learning impacted the online teaching and learning space? Overall, students still perceive offline teaching as better than online teaching. However, students perceive online collaborative learning in their courses to be greatly beneficial for their learning experiences, such as positively impacting their ability to acquire knowledge or being more motivated and enjoying the course more. So one can reshape online teaching by combining it with collaborative elements so that certain advantages that traditional offline classroom settings are perceived to provide or offer, such as more motivation and enjoyment of student interaction, can be transferred to online teaching, thus improving the overall online learning experience. Another example of how collaborative learning has reshaped online learning and teaching is that initially e-learning was very focused on the delivery, transmission of content and knowledge. And so bringing in this social constructivist view, such as collaborative learning, has really reshaped the roles and expectations of the student and teacher. So this shift from teacher orientation to student orientation originates from ideas in Constructivism. And by placing teachers as more of a facilitator role, which requires a different set of skills than being a knowledge transmitter, they become less of an authority figure. And student roles have changed in that they're more responsible for each other and their own learning rather than being a passive absorber of knowledge. So being more active in their learning than in a teacher-oriented course. I believe that a significant impact of collaboration in online learning addresses the need for social interaction. So talking with others and communicating can help individuals feel part of a community and provides more opportunities for social support. And these interactions can also increase feelings of belonging in a class. This can be especially helpful because online learning can often feel quite isolating. Finally, let's talk about the more practical part of online collaborative learning. What are some examples of implementing it into the online classroom? Well, we have online discussion boards, which are especially useful for asynchronous online classes. And this can be, for example, a Q&A, question and answer discussion board for assignments, which works off of the idea that someone learns better by explaining it to others and thus benefits the student who answers the question and the one who asks it. There's also a jigsaw technique, which is where you would ask each student to learn a piece of material and teach it to the group. The group then works together to synthesize the information by meeting through a discussion board or video meeting to share their learning with one another. There's also think, pair, share as an activity. So you would pair off students or in groups of 3, and the instructor could pose a question at the end of the class. And before the next session, the groups meet and discuss their responses. The questions should specifically be open-ended to provoke a more thoughtful discussion, and then ask students to share their answers either during class or on a discussion board thread. So I'd like to share my model of how I would design or how I envision a blended format course with you all. And that would be that during the in-person part of the course, I would host orientations and bootcamp style programs to really take advantage of that time together in fostering a sense of community, getting to know and trust each other, and bring out the potential of online discussions and group learning online. These boot camps would focus on icebreakers, positive group behavior training, and even highlighting the differences of how one might communicate online versus offline or in a blended environment. In the online portion of the course, I would utilize some of the collaborative learning activities that I mentioned before to enable higher level cognitive thinking and shared knowledge building. And that's it for today's episode on collaborative learning. Thanks for listening to Constructing Minds. Stay tuned for next week, where we will continue to explore constructivism in online environments.